Strange Brew Coffee House continues to roll out brand new drinks, including the Yosemite, which is white chocolate and roasted marshmallow. Doesn't that sound amazing? You can find Strange Brew at 1101 University Boulevard right there on the strip at the University of Alabama campus. And hey, did you know that you can get Strange Brew delivered to your door? Check out strangebrewcoffeehouse.com for all the Strange Brews bags of coffee, K-cups, mugs, shirts, and a whole lot more right there at strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. Just ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to take you up to Lexington, Kentucky, and talk with Nick Roush from Kentucky Sports Radio to talk about that huge matchup between Alabama and Kentucky tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Plus, we are also going to break down Joe Lunardi's bracketology. That's and a whole lot more coming up on this edition of the Stingray Show. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get things rocking and rolling.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9. With the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, 205-371-2227, or go by and see them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC. And ladies and gentlemen, with all of that, we want to welcome you back inside another edition of the Stingray Show. Heath, how are things going up there just outside the city of Memphis, Tennessee?
Man, the sun is out today, man. It rained last night. It was gloomy there on Wednesday. Dude, I woke up this morning. I have not seen the sun shine that bright in a while. I mean, it was just being no clouds, just beaming like crazy. So it's a beautiful day here. Beautiful day. Steven, I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for more baseball. I'm ready for baseball to dominate my television. You know, right now it's like a lot of basketball, mostly basketball, some baseball. I'm ready for it to be baseball, baseball, baseball. But I am excited about basketball season. A ton of great games this weekend. Ton of great games,
including Alabama and Kentucky, which we will talk about in the next segment with Nick Roush from Kentucky Sports Radio.
Yeah, no matter if Kentucky's having a down season, it doesn't make John Calipari a bad coach. John Calipari, great X's and O's guy. You know, he usually outsmarts everyone he coaches against, and he usually out-talents everybody he coaches against as well. But they've been up and down this year. It's not like John Calipari forgot to coach or didn't know how to coach or any of the above. I mean, he still knows things. So with that, I heavily look. That's probably the game I'm looking the most to this weekend is Alabama, Kentucky. Really looking forward to that.
Okay, so I've got to touch off of college just for a second because I did want to get your take on this. Did you happen to see who your San Diego Padres open the season on Major League Baseball's opening day with and where?
Actually, I do know the answer to this. I need multiple choice right now. And a cup of coffee, maybe 2 cups. They're out of the country. Are they in Mexico City again?
Nope. They open
They're in Korea.
South Korea against the Dodgers. The Dodgers, man. That rivalry over in South Korea.
Yeah, no one likes the Dodgers. I hate to say this. The Dodgers are going to win the World Series this year. I don't want to say it. I'm like hoping like everything bad happens to the Dodgers. You know, maybe a mudslide happens right before the season starts, takes out their stadium. I don't know. I don't want anyone hurt.
Right.
You know, I just don't like the Dodgers.
But I will tell you this, though. I know you won't be watching it because it is starting at 5:05 a.m. local time.
I probably will be watching it, Steven. I'm usually an early bird riser. That's why I need the coffee right now. I don't know. I'll say this: opening day, I treat it like a holiday. I treat it like Christmas. I treat it like I treat it better than my own birthday. It's opening day. I like my birthday is like, it's just another day. Yeah, we'll go out to dinner. Let's move on. Opening day, I'm shutting everything down. Like, I'm not doing any yard work. I'm not taking any meetings. I'm going to try to do as little as possible, and I'm going to enjoy myself in front of the television watching baseball.
And if you are a Major League Baseball fan, I will go ahead and let you know that opening day this year is on March the 20th, so it is just around the corner.
I don't understand this. Make this short. For you baseball historians or super sports fans out there, Cincinnati was the very first professional team. And so they used to always, the first Monday in April was opening day every year. And they'd always let Cincinnati be the first game since they were the first professional team. Yep. Cincinnati always got the floor to do that. And then they started doing it like the night before. Like, hey, we're going to have a Sunday night game to open the season. I'm like, why are we doing this? Let's keep it on Monday. Opening day special. And now it's like, okay, we're going to let so-and-so open up in Korea. There was a game in like London a couple of years ago. There was a game in Australia a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're starting opening day 3 weeks out in Australia so they can come back to spring training and I was like, this is ridiculous. Let's just go back to Monday, start the games, whatever on Monday. If you don't want the Reds to be first, fine. But just keep it on Monday, man.
All right. And so, Heath, another big topic and a big trend to watch this season in the Major League Baseball is what happened last year to the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Orioles. All got the first round bye and missed 5 days of playing. All 3 of those teams lost in their opening series of the playoffs. We talked about this last week with Ben McDonald. Is it better to go into the playoffs a wild card winner, or is it better to go in leading your division?
I always feel like you need to keep playing. I've said it way too many times. It doesn't matter what the sport is. It doesn't matter what the sport is. When you see teams get a big lead and they start resting the starters the last 2 or 3 games of the season and this and that, they never get it back. They never win ever. So when you're that team fighting for that last playoff spot, you have to fight for like the last 6 weeks of the season. You got to fight to get into the playoffs, and you're still fighting. And so I think you go in with that chip and that edge and that mindset of fight. And I think that carries you. I really do. So, I say you keep playing.
That's what the Texas Rangers did last year. And look, they were the World Series champions last year. So congratulations to them for continuing to fight down the stretch. They got hot at the right time. And, buddy, they won it all.
Yeah, Steven, it's a fun time of year. I know we're an SEC show. We kind of went on a rant with professional baseball here. But, Steven, look, we've got March Madness. We all love basketball. But March Madness is crazy. It's insane. It's fun. We love it. We've got that. We've got Major League Baseball. We've got college baseball. The Masters is coming. The XFL, USFL has merged to the UFL. We got more football coming. We got spring football coming. I mean, Stephen, this is a super fun time of year. Super fun time.
And Heath, that's what makes our show so unique, is because we have the flexibility to talk about whatever we want to in the sports world. So Heath, on that note, we are going to take a very short break, and when we transition after the break, we are going to be talking with Nick Roush of Kentucky Sports Radio to talk about the Kentucky Wildcats' matchup with Alabama. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back with Nick Roush of Kentucky Sports Radio.
I love Nick.
Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, 205-371-2227, or go by and see them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC. Do you guys like to fish? I know I do, and if you have a pond or lake in your backyard that needs stocking of fish, you need to contact biologist Jeff Bagwell with Honey Hole Fisheries. He can help you stock your lake with bluegill, largemouth bass, and hybrid striped bass. You can get in touch with Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Honey Hole Fisheries, 205-799-0192. Contact Mr. Jeff Bagwell today and let him help you build the lake of your dreams. Do you guys dream about owning a home or a condominium down on the beautiful beaches of Alabama, say Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, or maybe even Fairhope? Then let me tell you about First Class Real Estate South Home Group's owner, Celeste Hagler. She has brokers down there in the beautiful beaches of Alabama to help you purchase the home of your dreams and to live where you love in the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste Hagler at 205-861-5698. Contact Celeste Hagler today to help you live where you love in the state of Alabama.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Seeing some congestion on eastbound Highway 82 heading from Airport Road to Jack Warner Parkway. It's an 8-minute delay. And lane closures are in place in preparation for the work on the new 69 flyover bridge. And we also have construction on McWright's Ferry Road. It's being extended to Rice Mine Road. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Lisa Baque.
The best station in the state, breaking down Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you guys. And now we are about to transition into a big game in the SEC for tomorrow, as we are going to have none other than Kentucky Sports Radio's own Nick Roush join us right now to talk about the big Alabama versus Kentucky matchup tomorrow at 3 o'clock up there at Rupp Arena. So without further ado, here is Mr. Nick Roush. Nick, how are things going up there in Kentucky?
Well, things have been pretty crazy for Kentucky basketball fans. If you would have talked to me on Tuesday, I would have said great, and then today, not so great. It's a wild roller coaster the Big Blue Nation's on right now, where 1 minute you think it's despair, agony, and gloom, and then the next we're going on a run. So
that's right.
An inconsistent season, but the Cats, they got plenty of firepower. Should be a fun game on Saturday at Rupp Arena between the Cats and the Crimson Tide.
Nick, I want to ask you real quick right off the top, because everyone is always talking about it because everyone loves the drama. I've heard so many people, local, regional, around the nation, this is John Calipari's last year. They're going to get rid of him. They're not going to get rid of him. Everyone just loves the drama and the coaching carousel. at this moment, because after a loss, everybody wants to get rid of him and everyone thinks he's gone.
Yeah.
After wins, it's like, oh, Cal's going to be here for another decade. In your opinion right now, where's Coach Cal and standing with the brass at Kentucky?
It's it has not been this tenuous ever before during the Calipari era. And I thought Gary Parrish said it well. I guess this was 2 weeks ago, that it feels like every game has become an indictment on John Calipari. And a lot of it stems back to just the Final Four drought. They haven't been since 2015. If you look across the college basketball landscape at the other Blue Bloods, North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, all of those teams have made multiple Final Fours in that time frame. And 9 years, that's about what Tubby Smith had when he was kind of ushered out of Lexington. So the thing is Heath, you're right. It's like after a loss, they want him fired. But then after a win, you're like, oh, well, maybe they can go on a run.
Right.
And a lot of it is just ultimately going to be dictated on how far this team goes in March.
Okay.
First round or first weekend exit, there's probably a separation. You get in the second weekend, it gets a little tricky, right? Like, did they lose on a buzzer beater in the Sweet 16? Did they get blown out in the Elite Eight? And right now, the way things are going, it feels like it's a second weekend gray area, because that's all we've been operating on with John Calipari for the last few years, is just a mixed bag of results where people who want him out have plenty of evidence to get him out, and people who want him to stay also have some evidence. So it's really contentious right now, and a lot of it's just going to come down to what the Cats can do in the postseason.
So, Nick, what do you ultimately think is the issue with this team being so up and down right now in college basketball as we head towards the tournament time?
A lot of it is that they're a high ceiling team, but that also has an incredibly low floor because they're a poor defensive team. And they're not getting much from their front court at all. They've got they started the year with 21 feet of centers on the bench. They got all those guys back, and they've been really inconsistent there. Ugonna Onyenso had a 21.8. He had like an 18 rebound game with 7 block shots. Then the other night he played 32 minutes and had 1 block shot and 7 rebounds. So it's very inconsistent in the front court. And then defensively, it's almost like in order to play good defense, they've got to sacrifice their offense, which is their greatest strength. And to throw the biggest cherry on top, which is the part that it's hard for fans and media to accept, but they've had some injury issues. I mentioned the 7-footers off the top, but DJ Wagner missed multiple games in 2 different stints with a lingering ankle injury. And in the 4 games since he's been back, he hasn't looked the same. He's averaging 3 points a game, 2 turnovers, 2 assists. He hasn't been as good. He hasn't been what they've needed out of their point guard position. And then Trey Mitchell, he can allow Kentucky to play small ball, right? He can sit those 7-footers on the bench as a scoring stretch 4, but he's missed 3 or 4 games. He's had multiple stints. So they've had one half with a complete roster all year. And it feels like that's forced John Calipari to continue to shuffle the deck with lineups where he hasn't been able to have his best 5 on the floor for extended amounts of time.
So, Nick, I do want to ask you, getting into the matchup tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock Central between Alabama and Kentucky, break that game down for us, please, up there at Rupp Arena.
It should be a fun game, right? Because both teams want to get up and down the court. I don't know. We don't have a betting line as of right now, but that over is going to be it's going to be a high total because both teams love to just go. So it should be an exciting game with 2 of the best scorers in the SEC, and Alabama's Mark Sears and Kentucky's Antonio Reeves. And if I'm John Calipari and I'm trying to game plan this, you know Mark Sears is going to score, right? Like Kentucky's backcourt, they create some turnovers. They're good at stealing the ball. Reed Shepherd is the first Wildcat with 5+ steals in 3 straight games, but they're going to give up a lot of open shots. So I think the key here for Kentucky is, you know what, Mark Sears, do your thing. Don't let everybody else do their thing. When Kentucky got pretty much dominated, got handled by Tennessee at Rupp Arena about a month ago, they kept Connect in check, but it was Josiah Jordan-James, Ziegler, Vescovi. Those guys went off. So if I'm John Calipari, I'm making sure that Grant Nelson isn't the guy that sneaks by you and ends up having 24 points and 12 rebounds. Make everybody else beat you. Mark Sears is going to get his, but don't let the supporting cast crush you by lighting it up from behind the 3-point line.
All right. And my final question for you, Nick, is this. We are switching sports briefly. A huge surprise last year in college baseball in the SEC was the team that was coined the phrase the Bat Cats with Kentucky baseball. How do you see this team faring this season in the SEC and overall?
Last year, I don't want to say it was an aberration, but they played small ball really well, right? They played small ball really well. They didn't have the big ace that came in and shut things down and a bunch of home run hitters. But they played defense well. They played small ball well, and they brought a lot of guys back. I want to say about 60% of their starting nine is back, including most of the infield. Emilian Petrie at second base is a solid player for him, who's good at getting on the base as well. Mason Moore, and that's really the early season part, I think, for most college baseball teams, is trying to figure out these pitchers that we're asking more from, can they deliver? And Mason Moore was outstanding last year as their closer in their kind of a middle reliever for him. I mean, he went long, pitching 4 innings or so down the stretch in Kentucky's regional win that ultimately got him that date with LSU in the Supers. They need more to become a stud for them as a starter. And then the other part of it is can the offense stay consistent? You saw a lot of runs, I think, in their first game, but the bats have cooled a little bit. Need catcher Devin Burks to continue to deliver. It's one of those things that over the years, Kentucky baseball has not handled expectations very well. They've never stacked up back-to-back postseason appearances, which is crazy to say out loud because you'd think that'd be pretty easy to do. But so far, so good. I think Kentucky can be a real feisty kind of team in the middle of the pack in the SEC, that if things get hot, if those bats get going in late April and into May, they could be a team that you don't want to see late in the season.
I'm putting you on the spot when we go to break. Is John Calipari back next year?
I think they go to an Elite Eight and he's back, but it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty.
So, Nick, thank you once again for joining us on this episode. Have a good weekend this weekend. Good luck to Kentucky, and we will catch up later on in the year.
It's always a pleasure, guys.
Nick, take care. Have a great weekend.
So, Heath, we are going to do a quick little break, and when we come back, we are going to give you our Fave 5 for today and continue to talk sports. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back right after this. Strange Brew Coffee House continues to roll out brand new drinks, including the Yosemite, which is white chocolate and roasted marshmallow. Doesn't that sound amazing? You can find Strange Brew at 1101 University Boulevard, right there on the strip at the University of Alabama campus. And hey, did you know that you can get Strange Brew delivered to your door? Check out strangebrewcoffeehouse.com for all the Strange Brew's bags of coffee, K-Cups, mugs, shirts, and a whole lot more right there at strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods. Your life can change on a dime, and if you are relocating for your job up to the Rocket City of Huntsville, the fastest growing city in the state of Alabama, you need to contact Celeste Hagler of First Class Real Estate South Home Group. She has brokers all over North Alabama to help you get settled with buying a new home in North Alabama. You can contact her at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is Celeste Hagler, 205-861-5698. 5698. Contact Celeste Hagler today to live where you love in the state of Alabama, even in the Rocket City of Huntsville.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well. And we were talking before the break with Nick Roush of Kentucky Sports Radio. And now we are going to continue our basketball talk with Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology right now, as it came out at 9 o'clock this morning. And Heath, his new number one overall seed is the Purdue Boilermakers. The first team out is Wake Forest, and the last team in, according to Joe Lunardi, is now Texas A&M, which I honestly disagree with right there. And on his latest update, he does now have the first four out, the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, some people think that Ole Miss's bubble popped the other night in Starkville. I don't know if it's true or not. If Ole Miss wins out, I think they'll get in. It's hard to win out. I don't care who you are. I mean, Stephen, I think we talked about this on the show earlier this week. The longest win streak in the SEC right now is only 4 games in men's basketball. It is only 4 games. So, it's just, that shows you how competitive and how great the SEC is in basketball this year. It is a wonderful league. And so with that, I don't put too much stock in the first 4 or last 4 in, first 4 out. I don't put much stock into that until we get to March and I start watching it a little bit more. Here's plain and simple. Just start winning and everything will take care of itself. So just win and you're okay.
So Heath, in his brand new bracketology right now, as I'm going to break down the different regions, Joe Lunardi has the Crimson Tide in your backyard in Memphis playing High Point. Alabama is projected as a 3 seed now, playing the 14th seed High Point.
I definitely see Alabama. Look, I think Alabama is the best team in the SEC right now. As you know, I am not a Bama fan. I'm not a Bama graduate. I'm not a Bama hater. I'm not a Bama supporter. I just shoot you straight about Alabama. Alabama's a great team. Yes. Alabama basketball is, I thought they would take a lot of steps backwards this year. They've taken a very small step backwards from last year's team, and that is simply amazing. What's going on right now in Tuscaloosa, if you're not fired up and excited about basketball, you're not really a true Alabama fan. I just care about football. You're an idiot. Move on.
Okay, let's talk about the West Regional. And in Brooklyn, New York, oddly enough, they've got the number 4 seed up there as the Auburn Tigers playing Appalachian State. That could be a really good matchup there between Auburn and Appalachian State in the Western Regional right there.
Yeah, Boone, North Carolina, App State. All right. The Jungle and Boone, North Carolina. Wow.
Yes.
And facing off in Brooklyn.
Okay. In Omaha, they've got Florida versus Nebraska, and that could be a really good team matchup because both of these teams are ascending and gelling at the right time.
Yeah, Florida, I can't make up my mind about Florida because the couple of times I've watched Florida was not impressed at all. And then the games they win and super impressive, I want to catch the highlights. And I was like, I haven't yet seen Florida play good. Look, I don't think Florida's a bad team. And I definitely think Florida's a tournament team that can advance. But I just haven't seen them click when I'm watching. And that scares me a little bit. They're inconsistent. And inconsistent teams lead to some fun things in March Madness, especially if they're ranked high or low, because they can always win.
Now, over in the East Regional, they have Kentucky at a 6th seed right now and South Carolina as the 7th seed. And then in the Southern region, they've got also in Memphis, Mississippi State as the 9th seed. And then, of course, they've got the 2 seed of Tennessee and Indianapolis.
Yeah, Mississippi State playing in Memphis. I mean, that's like a 3-hour car ride. A lot of maroon would be there at the FedEx Forum for that game. They used to play at the Pyramid, but that's now a Bass Pro Shop. So, I hope folks know that now. They don't end up at Bass Pro because you can get lost in there on your own will because it's fun.
Yes.
And you just want to stay there.
So breaking it down right now, as of this morning, the Big 12 will get 9 teams in. It looks like in the SEC will drop down to 8 as of this morning because of Joe Lunardi saying that Ole Miss is now in the first 4 out.
Yeah, it's either going to be 7 or 8 teams the SEC is going to get. If we get something crazy like Ole Miss or Georgia or somebody like that winning the SEC tournament, 8 or 9. But I think you better get your heart on 7 teams from the SEC making the tournament, maybe 8. Very far-fetched 9. Some crazy things have to happen to get 9 teams in.
And Heath, let me also say this. This is quite a shocker to me because of how dominant this team has been the last few seasons, even getting to the championship game and losing the last 4 in. Listen to this, Heath, the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Zags. That's such a fun team. They were such a fun team, and everyone loved them. They're in Spokane, Washington, but every team rises and falls. I mean, it just is what it is. Doesn't matter the sport. Teams are going to go up. Teams are going to go down. Sometimes it's administration. Sometimes it's coaching. Sometimes it's recruiting. Sometimes it's all of it. But, they're just down.
So this weekend, when you look at the slate of college basketball games on Saturday, we've got South Carolina traveling to Oxford to take on Ole Miss. And remember, both of those teams took the country by storm at the beginning of the SEC season. And South Carolina has now dropped 2 in a row. They lost to Auburn and LSU back-to-back, and now they are sitting there and going on the road to Ole Miss. You've also got Alabama and Kentucky up at Rupp Arena, and Heath, get this, there is going to be a revenge game up in Knoxville, Tennessee, as when the last time these 2 teams played, Texas A&M dominated Tennessee down in College Station. Now Texas A&M goes up to Knoxville to take on the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to unpack right there. LSU, we've mentioned it like almost every day on the show for like a week and a half. LSU's a team that's building and building and building and getting better. I know that they lost here recently, or South Carolina lost to them here recently. I'm keeping my eye on that LSU team, Stephen, only because I think LSU can make some noise in the SEC tournament. That's a team to watch in the NIT. They may not win it all, but they can make a deep run. Now, going back to what you just said just then with all the other teams, we mentioned it earlier in the segment. It comes down to consistency.
Yeah.
Where are these teams? And that also brags on the SEC. It's so competitive this year. Look, we're talking about 8 teams from the SEC making postseason. The big dance. We're not talking about the NIT, the big dance. Half of the SEC. This is amazing, man. It really is.
And Heath, let me also throw this out at you. Kentucky host Alabama, like we talked about. And then on Tuesday of next week, guess where the Cats are?
Where's that?
The Hump in Starkville to take on Mississippi State, and Mississippi State is a very dangerous team with the crowd backing them at home.
Yeah, Mississippi State's got the longest win streak currently in the SEC. It's only 4 games, just like we mentioned just seconds ago. The league is so competitive this year. People aren't just rolling through this league. Even when you get hot, you stumble. You're like, hey, they've won, 6 of their last 7, but no one's winning 7 in a row. And that's what's going on in the SEC. So I don't know who's going to win that game. I know one thing, Kentucky's got to turn it on if they're going to make a run.
So Heath, go on ahead, because I know that you are very, very hostile and very, very ticked off about this topic. Go on ahead and let everybody know what is on your mind, what we will discuss in the final segment of the Stingray Show.
People need to be held accountable, and some heads need to roll. And I'm talking at the very top when it comes to Eli Gold. This is terrible of what is happening to Eli Gold. This is shameful, embarrassing, and just flat out wrong. Wrong. The man doesn't want to retire. The man doesn't want to slow down. The man doesn't want to step down. And what you're doing is wrong. We'll go into it after the break.
Yes, we will be right back on the Stingray Show with our final segment.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Monday. We'll look at the Alabama-Kentucky game and find out what Alabama's lead is in the SEC. We'll also talk with Doug Bell about the PGA Tour.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Since 1999, residents of Tuscaloosa has depended on this butcher shop and grocery store. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats. With their specialty meats and fresh to frozen bulk vegetables, you can prepare delicious home-cooked meals all week long. At South's Finest Meats, customer service is their number one priority, and when you shop with them, you can expect to be treated like an MVP. Go by and check out South's Finest Meats at 3201 10th Avenue right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show. Residents of Tuscaloosa, are you guys upsizing, downsizing, looking for college housing, or even relocating for your job right here to Tuscaloosa? If that's the case, then you need to contact Celeste Hagler, owner and operator of First Class Real Estate South Home Group. She can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Reach out to Celeste again at 205-861-5698 and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals and to live where you love in the state of Alabama. Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Seeing some congestion on eastbound Highway 82 heading from Airport Road to Jack Warner Parkway. It's an 8-minute delay. And lane closures are in place in preparation for the work on the new 69 flyover bridge. And we also have construction on McWright's Ferry Road. It's being extended to Rice Mine Road. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Lisa Baque.
A national championship team covering a national championship team. The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the Stingray Show, SEC fans. We're talking all things SEC with Stephen Ray, Stingray himself, and myself, Heath Hopkins. And right before we went to break, we mentioned something, and we're going to dive into it here briefly before we do some fun stuff to wrap up the show and you get started on your fun Friday and weekend. What has happened to Eli Gold is just wrong. And I'll say this. Greg Byrne, this isn't his first stop in the SEC. He was athletic director over at Mississippi State. And Greg Byrne just crapped on, hated on, smushed, smothered, and killed off public address announcer Hank Flick, who was dearly beloved and a highly respected individual in the community and the Mississippi State fans. He was the PA announcer for football and basketball for many years. And he had crosswords with Greg Byrne briefly in the press box at a spring game. And Greg Byrne's like, that's it. You're done. You're out of here. And I'm like, Hank Flick's been doing this for 40 years and he's loved and he's a tenured professor. You know, no one does this to Dr. Flick. And Greg Byrne, a young punk athletic director, did that then. I don't know what he has with announcers. Now, Eli Gold, a play-by-play announcer. Look, I'm not an Eli Gold fan, but I highly respect Eli Gold. Do I think Eli Gold's the greatest voice there ever was in college football? No. Does his voice kind of annoy me a little bit? Slightly, but how he delivers the game and how prepared that man is. Look, you don't become the voice of NASCAR of being a joke and bad. You don't become the voice of the Crimson Tide of being a joke. You don't are born and raised in New York and find yourself as the king of the radio in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in the SEC. And that's exactly what Eli Gold was. And for them to force him out is shameful and wrong, Greg Byrne. That is despicable. I cannot defend any of your actions whatsoever. The man did not want to slow down. He did not want to retire. He has done nothing but been professional. He has survived cancer and battled through. He is just a high-performing individual. And guess what? If Nick Saban likes him and Nick Saban calls him immediately when he heard their news, that should tell you the respect that Nick Saban has for him, the fans of Alabama have for him. What is your beef on this? This is wrong. It should not stand. Greg Byrne should be held liable and not forgiven on this. He's already trying to brush it under the rug. He's already changed his story twice, saying retiring, stepping down. Eli Gold's already got a job. You know why? Because he's excellent. He is excellent at what he does. This is flat out wrong.
And Heath, I will hit you with a little bit of a stat right here. We're not talking about a guy who was broadcasting 10 years, 15 years, 35 years covering Alabama football. 35 years, that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, this is a tragedy and a travesty. This is not how you treat people that have not only been loyal, but excellent at what they've done. You know, like I said, I don't like announcers who get excited and yell in the microphone on play-by-play. I never have. I think that's highly unprofessional. Eli does that. I don't like those kind of announcers. But to say that he's not a bad announcer, I mean, Eli Gold is a great announcer. I just don't like his delivery. It's like a stand-up comedian. If a comedian cusses a lot, I don't like them either. That's my personal preference. Your preference might be, I like when he gets excited and yells and goes over the top. That's okay. That's okay. That's why we have chocolate and vanilla. That's why we have all the different flavors of ice cream. But, but Eli Gold, although he's a yeller, I absolutely highly respect the individual and the job that he's done. And this is flat out wrong. Greg Byrne's got something under his skin or up his butt with Eli Gold of getting too much love and respect, and I don't get it why he wants to run him out of town. This is wrong. I mean, Chris will do an excellent job as play-by-play, but to force out Eli Gold, this is wrong, Stephen. People from Alabama, the fans, season ticket holders, former players, coaches, whoever, and anybody, everybody should raise their voice for the voice of Alabama and stand up for him. This is wrong, Greg Byrne. Flat out wrong. Going in a different direction, you're the problem. You are the problem, Greg Byrne.
Well, thank you for your rant there, Heath. I appreciate that.
This is wrong, man. You cannot defend it in any kind of way. If it was his health, okay. If it was his age, okay. If he was slipping on the microphone, okay. If he was asking for too much money, okay. But that doesn't seem to be any of these issues. None whatsoever. I just don't get it.
So, Heath, to end the Stingray Show, do you want to do our Fave 5 and have some more fun on the show?
Let's end on a fun note, a high note on Fun Friday. Let's do it. All right, Steven came up with the fun idea of our favorite 5 cartoons.
When we were a kid.
Well, of course, I don't even get to watch television now, but yeah, our favorite 5 cartoons when we were children. So, mine will be more 80s dominated. I'm sure yours will be more 90s dominated.
Yes.
So yeah, it'll be fun. Steven, go first.
All right. At number 5, I'm actually going with Rugrats. That, of course, was a staple there on when Nickelodeon first came out back in the 90s. So number 5 is going to be Rugrats. Number 4 is going to be Hey Arnold, the kid with the football-shaped head. I absolutely loved that cartoon as a kid. At number 3, I'm going with Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show that was on the Cartoon Network. I absolutely loved that show. And that one actually had a lot of dark humor in it as well. At number 2, I'm going with Rocko's Modern Life, going back to Nickelodeon. And number 1, Heath, Cat Dog.
Okay. I have heard of those. I don't know anything about any of those. So, okay. I would like to mention and oh, yeah, that's a fun one. I've never seen it.
Yes.
So, okay. I think that's a solid list. I don't know. I haven't seen any of them. The funny thing is, Steven, you probably haven't seen many of mine either.
Right.
You might know of some of mine, but you probably haven't seen. All right. Here we go. Number 5, Papa. I loved Papa. I know this is back from the 60s and 70s, and they replayed a ton of them in the 80s. But I used to love watching Papa. I used to get tickled every time. Number 4, I think some people will remember this. I think this is streaming on Disney, maybe. We don't have Disney anymore. But Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. You had Iceman and Firestar. They were all college students, and they lived in the same apartment complex or dorm or whatever. They would always go and fight crime and save the world. It was always fun. Number 3, dude, I absolutely loved this cartoon. Loved the music, loved everything about it. The Super Friends. It was basically the Justice League, but it was all that. But the Wonder Twins and their pet monkey Gleek, that was fun stuff. But love the Super Friends. Number 2, dude, I think everyone loves number 2. How can you not love number 2?
Zoinks!
Oh, jinkies, where are my glasses? That's right. Scooby-Doo. How can you not love Scooby-Doo? I mean, but dude, what was going on with Fred and Thelma and, why are they always sending Shaggy and Scoob one way? I mean, what was going on there? Every time. I mean, what's going on? Did Shaggy smell funny? Did he smell like Scoob? I mean, what? Anyway, number 1, I try to watch these movies. I didn't like any of these movies, but I absolutely love the cartoon. I collected all the action figures. I had the planes. I had the hovercraft. I had it all. G.I. Joe. Absolutely love G.I. Joe. Would come home from school and grab a fudge round, a Little Debbie fudge round, sit in front of the television and watch G.I. Joe. It was a staple of my day and loved it. And yeah, G.I. Joe, fun stuff. I tried to watch one of those episodes 4 or 5 years ago. That's a horrible cartoon. I was like, the storyline is terrible.
So, Heath, on that note, that was a wonderful list, by the way. We hope that you guys have thoroughly enjoyed our Fave 5 and, of course, us talking with Nick Roush of Kentucky Sports Radio to preview the Alabama game for tomorrow. When we come back on Monday, we will be joined by none other than Tom Luganville to see what he's up to and especially talk about the UFL season that is about to kick off Heath, I hope that all of you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend out there. Enjoy college baseball and college basketball. And we will see you guys on Monday evening right back here on the Stingray Show with the legendary Tom Luganville. We will see you then.
Save Eli Gold. Bring Eli back. Save Eli.